When you will see the enemy of the when you see the donkey of your enemy, rovetz tachat masao, you see him crashing under its load. Vechadalta me'azov lo, and you might say, you know what, I don't want to help him. Azov ta'azov imo, the Torah says, make sure to help him. Chamor sonecha, sonecha. If you see the ox of your enemy going around and it's not, it's lost, and you might say, I'm not going to bring it back to your enemy. Why? And if you have your enemy's lost object and your friend's lost object, you should go first to help and bring back to your enemy. So the commentaries explain that all this is made lakof et yisro shel adam. What does that mean? The Torah says, lo nitnu mitzvot ela letzaref bahem et habriot. The whole purpose of mitzvot is in order to refine the character of man. And we see this in the whole Torah. For example, in the Torah, I'm not allowed to lend with interest. So if I lend you $100,000, let's say pre-COVID, and now 5 years later, you give me back $100,000, you gave me 20 cents on my dollar. That doesn't make sense. That's why we charge interest, in order to be able to recover at least what we have, if not more. Why is that? Why is it that on Shabbat, when the work is the best, supposedly, you have a mall, in the mall, and you have a store that's open, you're going to make the most money? Comes the Torah and says, break your Yetzer Hara. The same thing with every mitzvah. The Rambam in Perush HaMishnayot explains the following. He says, concerning v'chol ve'akol lefi rov ha'maaseh, the Mishnah says everything is in accordance to the amount of times you do things, the amount of actions you do. So an example of this is tzedakah. You have an opportunity to give tzedakah many times, or to give it once. You should try to give it as many times as possible. Why? Because each time I'm going to give tzedakah, I'm going to be in a situation where I'm breaking my Yetzer Hara. Another call I got today. The amount of calls we get. I mean, if I showed you my phone, I have a list it never ends of people that are asking all the time, Baruch Hashem. But at the same time, you have to know your responsibility. So each time you give, each time you answer that. I once asked a billionaire, told him, Baruch Hashem, you told me something beautiful. You should live long and be well. He told me that he went through all these in his life till he came to what he came. And he said, Hashem, he started with 10%, 15%, 20%. When he got to 70, he said, Hashem, every year extra you give me, I add 1%. So now he's giving 26%. So I say, Avraham, what's your, how do you do it? He says, the most difficult part is answering the phone call. Because once you know you've answered the phone call, you know you're already going to be in a situation that you're going to be sensitized and you're going to have to do something and so on and so forth. So today we have a better solution to phone calls. We send a text message. So I'm going to show you, if you want, how to open your text without the other person seeing that you open your text. Like this, you could fight with your own consciousness. So the whole Torah, Kol HaTorah ze midot. The whole Torah is good midot. Somebody that doesn't have good midot, he has a lot of Torah. It's missing in his Torah. Recently, there was a scandal with a rabbi, big rabbi, a lot of followers, everything. What's the scandal? This was a rabbi that always was screaming at people, telling them how they're going to burn in Gehinnom, in hell, because they did this and they did that and they did this and he knows better than everybody else, and so on and so forth, and very strong, very aggressive, and so on and so forth. He just got caught that he has a lot of concubines besides, So suddenly you big tzaddik. It's all about midot. The Torah is about working on yourself. And therefore, every mitzvah of the Torah is there to break you. And that's why, to break your ego. And that's why we have this mitzvah. When it comes to giving to your enemy first, or giving to your friend first, you have to first take care of your enemy. Why? Because at the end of the day, that's going to make you a better person. And it's very hard. Very hard. Somebody you can't see, you can't. But you saw it as a lost object. You have to do the right thing. He's not going to even consider you. He's not going to say thank you. He's nothing. You did it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said. So that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay, tough.
I thought it would be a way more complicated answer. I know.
It's still very hard.
It's still very hard. But the Torah is all about not being hard, about being right, doing the right thing. The subject of today, as we approach the month of Adar, the month of Adar is a very special month. It's not the month of Tishrei, in which we have all the holidays. It's not the month of Nisan, in which we have Pesach. It's the month of Adar, in which we have Purim. Nevertheless, the month of Adar, our sages teach us, Mishe nichnas Adar marbim besimcha. When you come into the month of Adar, you have to increase in joy. Why? We're going to find out. But there's something else that's said about Adar. That if you have a judgment with a non-Jew, you should try to push it off to Adar, because Adar, Bare Mazale, it's a month that it's Mazal for the Jewish people, is very strong. What does that mean? What were we talking about? So there's a rabbi by the name of Rav David Kamhi, the Radak. He explains on the Proverbs of Shlomo HaMelech, and Simcha ke'atarat asfekot. There's no greater joy than to having certainty. When you have clarity, you have certainty. There's no greater joy than that. Why? Because it's possible a person has the best of both worlds, but he needs to take a path, right? You could live like a multimillionaire in Saint-Tropez, or you can live like a multimillionaire in California, whatever. And both situations, they're offering you the best situations, both of them, with all the goodies that you want, private this and private that and private chauffeur and whatever you need. But you're still in a doubt. You're not comfortable. A person's in a relationship, right? He's double dating. He doesn't know exactly, or she doesn't know, which is the right one. What is the right job? Doesn't matter if even both of them are the best. What is the best investment? What are the best schools? Both of them are good. A person's not at peace with themselves. When are you at peace with yourself? This is the path. Once you know this is the path, nothing is going to stop me. I'm going to go in full force. And therefore, if you think about it, what does that mean? It means that during the month of Adar, there's a certain element of certainty, of clarity, that is going to push us forward and give us the power to do something that in normal circumstances, during the rest of the year, we're not able to do. And it's interesting, the Ari Kadosh says, Vayvarech David et Hashem, and David HaMelech blessed God. He writes in the Siddur, the big letters, it forms the word Vadai, certainty. Why? Because we know that in the Gemara and the Talmud, there are many, many discussions. There's this rabbi says this opinion, that rabbi says that opinion, another rabbi says another opinion. They're all right. How is it possible to be all right? Because Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Haim, they're all the words of the living God. One is looking at the potential, the other one's looking at the actual, one is looking at the individual, one is looking at the assembly, one is looking from the aspect of the object, one is looking for the aspect of the person. It's all right, but it's just a question of a different angle they're looking at. Who has the halacha like him? The person that has clarity. And it says, Vayhi Hashem et David, Vayhi David maskil bechol de'achav Hashem imo. It says that David HaMelech, whatever he went through and whatever whatever path he took, Hashem was with him. Our sages say, Hashem imo, God is with him. Halacha kamoto, the halacha is like him, the law is like him. What does that mean? That all the descendants of David HaMelech, which in general were all the Nesi'im, all the princes of the Sanhedrin, of the High Court, the halacha is always like them. Why? Because with David HaMelech, you have certainty. The house of Yehuda, Peretz, right, which is the one that breaks through, you have certainty, you have clarity. Where does this war against Amalek, which is the war that we fought during Purim, against Haman, which was a descendant of Amalek, where does it start? How does it end? Where do we find the beginning of all this in Torah? And how is that connected to the month of Adar to give us the power to be able to do the right thing? So we said a second thing, before we get there, we said a second thing about the month of Adar. The month of Adar, we said that if you have a judgment against a non-Jew, you should go to court during the month of Adar. You'll certainly win. So the Rabbi explains that this means not only the non-Jew that's outside, the non-Jew that's inside of you. We all have certain experiences, certain things we absorbed from the world. And that makes our vision of the world a tinted vision. People think that if they don't have a certain bag, they don't have a certain car, they don't have a certain style, then they're nobody. We all know that's nonsense. That doesn't make a person. People are so absorbed by what they see outside on social media. You have to go outside today, right, in order to be affected. That's the way to look at the world. And now you understand why so many young people are following so many different things and trying different things and so on and so forth, because that's the little goy that's inside of them. So what do you do when you have that judgment against a little goy inside of you and you need to win over him? During the month of Adar, you have a special power to be able to say, you know what? I don't want of this. I want something that has more benefit. Look, the fact that you're here on a Wednesday, that shows exactly where your head is, right? If not, be going around and doing other things. But the fact that you want to resource yourself because we want the truth, we want the emet. So it all started at the beginning of creation. Adam and Hava are in a situation of doubt. They stand, God told them, do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and bad. They find themselves in front of the tree. Hava finds herself in front of the tree. The snake, which is the Yetzer Hara, comes and seduces her with words and says, you know why God doesn't want you to eat from the tree? Because maybe basically you're going to become like God. And God doesn't want you to have, he doesn't want to have competition. I said, really? Yeah. Okay. Try it. What did God say? So she exaggerated. Already she went a little away from the truth. She said, God said, do not touch and do not eat. So what did the snake do? He says, you already went away from the emet. You already went away from the truth. I'm going to use your lie to catch you. And he pushed her. And she fell on the tree. Says, you see, you touched the tree, nothing happened. So if you touched, you can eat. You understand? Once you start a rhetoric of something which is not emet, which is not true, it's very, very a slippery slope. Very quickly, you can find yourself gone. Look at all the media. Who would think after a film where the horrors of October 7th was presented to almost every government, and they were horrified, who would think that these same governments which were horrified, right, would speak and even raise their face or have the chutzpah to speak the way they're speaking about Israel? Because once you live a lie, just a little lie is already taking you away. And we see it all the time. It's like mind-boggling how everybody follows the lie. Like nobody. So Chava went away a little, and that going away brought her to eat from the tree of knowledge. She gave to her husband. And now God turns to Adam, said, what happened? He says, she gave me. I give you a wife and you point to your wife. The Baal Shem Tov says when you point at somebody, right, you have 3 fingers pointing at you. So, okay, pointing to his wife, not a problem. What's with you, Chava? Hanahash, Hishiani. It is the Nahash. It is the snake that seduced me. Permit me. Hishiani. In Hebrew, the word Hishiani, he, she, me, right? So that's what she said. This is what Hava said. So God says, you know what? I'm going to give you a punishment. Not a problem. You're going to live the consequence of your actions. For you, Adam, you're going to have kots and dardar. In Hebrew, and dardar, which means thorns and thistles, weed, sharp herbs. You're not going to have it cool that things are just going to grow. You're going to eat from the fruit. You're going to have to take out the bad. You're going to have to work for your money. And you, well, you're going to have to give birth. It's not so easy. So
Why was that the consequence? Though? 'Cause it doesn't seem like poor, like they ate from the tree. Okay, fine. So now all this food that you're producing, okay, fine, you have to work for it. But like, why is the labor and the pregnancy like?
that's a great question. Right now, my head is not there. I will get there, but that's an amazing question. We're going to get there. So now, what exactly happened? Why is that the consequence of everything? If we look in this which means to seduce, you have this word and you have this word. This word is hayesh, is there. This word is ayin, is there not? There's a pasuk that says, hayesh Hashem bekirbenu im ayin. Is God amongst us or not? What started the whole thing? Maybe I could be God. It's a great temptation. You get somebody to sign, you're God. Right. You have a diploma from the Midrashat, you're God. Right? I could be God. So basically, you're doubting if God is God. Is God amongst us or not? She had a doubt. So now is going to come the punishment of man. Punishment of man is very interesting. There are two psukim. There are two verses. We say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem. Hashem? Echad. In Parashat Kitisa we say, Lo tishtachave, you should not bow, le'el, to a God which is aher. So this is one, and this is another. Right? Another God. I spelled it right? Yeah. Another God. There's only a difference. This is Resh, this is Dalet. The letter Resh and Dalet, they look very much alike. So the Torah is going to write the letter Dalet, if you see in the Sidur, much bigger. And in the Torah, you'll see that the Resh is bigger as well. Don't get mixed up. Resh, 200. Dalet, 4. Take off from the Resh, the 4, 196. You have doubts. Who is God? Echad, Dalet, or Aher, another God? God says, no problem. You have doubts in your mind. You are going to live the reality of doubts. You're going to have kots, kuf, vav, tzadi. I'm sorry, tzadi. Right. Kuf 100, vav 6, tzadi 90, 196. 200 minus. You take away God from the equations, that's what you have. You're going to find thorns. What's dardar? Dalet resh, dalet resh. Okay, choose dalet or resh. What do you want? You're going to find thistles. You're going to find your doubts that you have in your head are going to transform in your reality. Because at the end of the day, a person only perceives with his eyes what he desires in his heart. That's Hayesh. Is Hashem with us or not with us? Oh, okay. So now we have to fix the problem. Now, if you look at, let's erase the doubts. I don't want the doubts. Not good. And create another doubt. If you look at the word Amalek, Amalek, 100, 30, 40, 70. And you look at the word Safek, 100, 80, 60. What do you have? 240, 240. Amalek is Safek. Safek is a doubt. Amalek is there to start the doubts in your life. That's why we find that Amalek, when did he come to attack? We came out of Egypt. There was 10 plagues in Egypt. And then we have the manna. Then the sea opened. We had the gold and silver of the Egyptians. The sea closed over our enemies. ויבוא עמלק וילחם בישראל. Amalek comes. You're at the top. Think, Hashem is with me. Yes, Hashem is with you. Boom. I'm going to fight you. Why? Because Dafka, when you start having this excitement, I want to cool you off. So I want to bring you doubts. Many times in our life, we start something, we start doing something good. Since I started keeping Shabbat, since I started covering my hair, since I started eating kosher, since I started, things are difficult. Of course. Because the Baal Shem Tov says that when a child starts walking, it's not enough that the child is walking. He made 2 steps. My daughter just turned 30. So I remember the first child I remember when they started walking. I was sitting, I was folding socks with my wife. And suddenly she started walking 1, 2, 3 steps. Turn around. I have to turn. And she starts walking. So she does this 3 steps back, 3 steps forward. Woo! Next step, what's the next step? Okay, I'm going to step back. I want to see what happens when you do that 4th step. Are you going to be in safek? Are you going to be in doubt? Or are you going to have certainty? That's the whole purpose of sfekot. To bring us to a level of greater certainty. Right? Now, we have to conquer Amalek. Now, Amalek, it says in the Sfarim HaKadoshim, the Rabbi brings it down, comes from the word Malek. Malek. Malek is the mitzvah of Melika. What is the mitzvah of Melika? In the temple, there was avodot hakashot shebamikdash, the Gemara says, from the hard works of the Mikdash. They used to take a bird, and instead of slaughtering the bird, they would break the neck of the bird with their nail, the back. It was a special service in the Bet HaMikdash in a certain circumstance. You work for Pita?
Funny.
I
Love them. I love the animal.
understand.
Is it like a shkita?
So this was a type of shchita that was only permitted in the Bet HaMikdash. But the Rebbe mentions, 1 second, what is happening when you break the neck? You are disconnecting the head from the heart, right? So basically what happens, Amalek is there to make that disconnect between our head and our heart. That's what Amalek means, essentially. I don't want you to feel. Don't get too excited. Keep it all over there. Just keep it sikhli, logical. If it's logical, it's good. It's not logical, forget about it. That's where the safek starts. So to this, Hashem says, you know why I created the world? There are many reasons brought down why God created the world. One's because he wanted to do hesed, he wanted to do kindness with the world. And to do kindness, you have to have a recipient. Another reason is in order to show all of his different powers. Chassidut explains in the name of the Midrash in Vayikra, Nit'ave HaKadosh Baruch Hu liot lo dira betachtonim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to have a home down here in this world, in the reality of planet Earth. Right? In our, what does it mean to have a home? What happens in a home? that cannot happen anywhere else. You go outside, you have to dress a certain way. When you're sports, you dress a certain way. You go to a wedding, you dress a certain way, right? When you're home, you can dress the way you want. If you don't want to dress, you can do that as well. When it comes to speaking, when you speak, when you're outside, you're speaking, you have to speak a certain way. The same way you're going to speak to one person, you're not going to speak to another person, a family member, a child, a friend, somebody that's titles. When you're outside, if you're a professor, whatever, according to what you're going to have a certain title that's going to define you or your name. At home, you don't even need your name. You don't need a title. You don't need to speak. At home, your essence lives at home. There's no concealment of who you are, essentially. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he created the world, and he concealed himself in order for the world for us to exist. He had to hide himself. What is the purpose? He wants to have a house down here where he can reveal his essence the way he is. And how do you call HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You call him just like the letter Aleph. Alufo shel olam, the master of the universe. You understand? So basically, our purpose as Jews is to bring that certainty of Hashem in a world which is confused. 6, 7, which is confused. Dalet Resh. Dalet Resh. Right, Dalet Resh. Okay. Actually, I just found out that Adar 2, you could make 6, 7. I'm going to show you how. Dalet Resh. What's Dalet Resh? Dalet, we said Hashem Echad. Resh is El Acher, another God. So we have the Dalet, which represents Hashem. Why does the Dalet represent Hashem and the Resh represent the world? Because everything that's in the world is round. Everything. Planets, cells, everything is round. Nothing has been created square in the world. Name me one thing in creation that's square. Nothing. But the mitzvot are square. Mikveh, square. Tzitzit, square. Tefillin, square. Matzah, round. No.
You said the cells of a plant are
What?
rectangular or.
The cells of a plant are square? No, there's no square. I'm telling you, there's nothing in nature that's square. They might take the shape. It's true. If you take the shape of the cells of a liver, they'll be the same shape as a liver. It's very interesting. All the different organs, the shape of their cells are normally the micro and the macro are intertwined. And therefore, what is the concept of this? There's a pasuk that says, Reshaim, Saviv Yitalechu. The Rasha is always going in circles. It's the same thing in a different. What do we do when a couple finally gets married? We break a plate. Why? Because that's it, he broke the cycle. Finally, 73, he decided to get married, right? Sometimes that's how it feels. So we break the cycle. There's a start, there's an end, and that's why we say, Letaken olam b'malchut shin dalet yud. We want to repair the world with the letters shin, dalet, and then the letter Yud, which means it's the Dalet. It's about repairing the world. That's what we say. Yom HaShishi v'alchu l'shamayim v'ad asher bara Elokim la'asot. This is what you created, God, la'asot, to do. So the Ramban and many, many commentaries ask, what do you mean la'asot? You already said this is what you created. What does it mean you created to do? The word la'asot is expressed in Parashat Ki Tetzeh. And it says over there, a woman that's going to do la'asot tzipornea. She's going to do her nails. What do you mean she's going to do her nails? She's going to repair her nails, right? When you go do your nails, to repair the nails, right? So la'asot means to repair. God created the world so we can repair the world. How do you repair a round world? You make it square. Right? So the letter Resh, which represents the world and the other forces, is round. The letter Dalet, which is a had, is square. If you take these words together, Dalet and Resh, it's the Jirah. It's the home of Hashem. What are you missing? An Aleph. To create Alufo Shel Olam, the master of the universe, should live in the house. That's the month of Adar. Mishenichnas Adar, Marbim Besimcha. Once you have that certainty, that clarity of who your master is, it's not the bank, it's not the lawyer, it's not the Instagram and the pique collegram. It's nothing. It's Hashem. He is your master. Once you have that clarity, you don't have doubts. Once you don't have doubts, anything and everything is possible. But you have to choose. What do you want? And once you don't have doubt, you're able to fight over the little guy inside of you that's telling you, do this, no, you have to be like the neighbor. Be you. There's nothing more beautiful, nothing more intelligent, nothing more powerful than you. The way you are and what you can improve in being you. Once you have that clarity, it's a simcha, tremendous, tremendous simcha. And that's why it's very important. Marbim besimcha. Every day in the month of Adar, we had simcha. And now to finish off with my 6, 7, 6, we talked about 6, 7. This is 1, this is 4, this is 200. There's a concept of mispar katan. If you have the dalet and the resh, that's 4 and 2, that's 6. But once you have the whole Adar plus 1, you have the 7. So 6, 7, Adar, Bezat Hashem, Marbim Besimcha. God bless you.
Thank you.
L'chaim.
So make